After my wife and I filed for divorce, we agreed to stay civil for the kids. Then my neighbor started dropping off meals, helping with homework, playing dad while I was at work. I thought it was kindness, until I walked into my son's room and saw a drawing, our family, but with my neighbor in my place. I confronted him. He said, "They already love me more. I'm just finishing what you couldn't." My wife smiled from the porch. "He's here now. You should go." I'm not perfect. I'll admit that first. I worked a lot. I thought I was doing the right thing, working overtime, saving up, making sure we had what we needed. My wife, Claire, used to say I was reliable. She said that like it was a compliment. Over time, I started to realize it wasn't. We had 2 boys, Jason, 12, and Tyler, 8. They were my life. I missed a few games and recitals, but I was there when it counted. Or I thought I was. Claire disagreed. She started talking about emotional distance, needing more, that kind of stuff. Eventually, she said she wanted out. I didn't argue. I figured we could handle it like adults. We agreed on joint custody. She'd keep the house, mostly for the kids' sake. I moved into a small apartment 15 minutes away. We agreed on no lawyers. Just split things down the middle and keep the peace. For the kids. At first, it was fine. I'd pick them up for weekends. Take them to the park. Watch movies. Tyler would draw pictures. Jason would talk about school. I thought they were handling it okay. Then one day, Tyler came to my place with a lunch packed in a container I didn't recognize. "Where's this from?" I asked him. "Mr. Eric made it," he said. "It's peanut butter with no crust." He remembers I don't like crust. That name made my stomach twist. Eric was our neighbor. Lived 2 doors down. The guy who waved from the driveway and helped shovel snow if you were out of town. Always alone. Mid-40s. I never thought twice about him. Until I started hearing his name more. Eric picked them up from school one day when Claire was stuck in traffic. Then he showed up at Jason's baseball game, sitting next to Claire like he belonged there. I walked up to her during a break and said, "What's he doing here?" "He's just helping out," she said. He offered to drive Jason. It was nice of him. It kept escalating. One weekend when I dropped the boys off, I saw Eric in the driveway teaching Tyler how to ride a bike. That was my job. I'd been trying to get Tyler off training wheels for months. I said something. Claire rolled her eyes. At least someone's showing up for him. I almost lost it right there. But I held it in. A few weeks later, I picked Jason up and he mentioned something that made my heart sink. "Eric helped me with my science project," he said. "He said you probably wouldn't understand the volcano diagram stuff." I sat there quiet the whole drive. I gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Then came the breaking point. One Friday, I got off work early. Drove to the house to drop off some things Jason had forgotten. I walked in through the side door. My key still worked. Nobody heard me. I stepped into the hallway and heard laughter from the kitchen. I smelled food cooking, homemade lasagna. Eric's voice. Claire laughing. I took a breath and walked upstairs. Tyler was in his room, drawing. He smiled big when he saw me. "Daddy! Look at this!" He held up a drawing. Crayons on construction paper. A family portrait. There was Jason, Tyler, Claire, and Eric. Holding hands with Claire. Smiling. In my place. I looked at the paper and said, "Where's me?" Tyler paused. Looked down. "Mr. Eric said you're too busy. He said he's always here now." I felt something break inside me. I walked straight downstairs, right into the kitchen. Eric was pouring wine. Claire was leaning against the counter. They looked like a couple. Like I'd been erased. I didn't even try to be polite. "What the hell is going on?" Eric turned calm as hell. Didn't even blink. "They already love me more," he said, staring me right in the eye. "I'm just finishing what you couldn't." Claire stood behind him on the porch with a smug little smile. "He's here now. You should go." I left. I had to. The rage in me was boiling over. I knew if I stayed, I'd do something I couldn't take back. But that moment, that exact line? "He's here now. You should go." That replayed in my head every night. I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to punch Eric in the face. That would just make me look unstable. I was going to take everything back. Slowly. Quietly. Thoughtfully. They thought I'd disappear. They had no idea who they were dealing with. I started with the custody schedule. Claire assumed I'd just keep going along with it. Every other weekend, some holidays, The occasional Wednesday night. But I got a lawyer. A real one this time. Someone tough. A woman named Donna from a firm in downtown Billings. She had a voice like a drill sergeant and didn't flinch when I told her what was happening. She let another man start parenting your kids while you still have shared custody? She asked. Yeah, I said. He's at their school. Their games. Cooking meals. Putting them to bed. Donna leaned back. Let's get your weekends back. Then we'll go for joint legal, maybe even primary custody. You're still their father. Let's remind the court of that. I followed every instruction she gave me. Documented everything. Times Eric picked up the kids. Photos of his car in the driveway. Screenshots from my kids' school portal showing who signed them out. Everything. Then I started showing up more. Not just during my custody days. I volunteered at Tyler's school for a field trip. Showed up to Jason's baseball game and made sure I sat right next to him in the dugout. Eric showed up halfway through, carrying a cooler. He saw me there and paused. Didn't know you'd be here, he said, keeping his voice low. Yeah, I said, loud enough for Jason to hear. I'm his dad. Why wouldn't I be? Jason smiled at me. Just for a second. Then Eric looked annoyed. Later that day, I saw Claire texting. She kept glancing up at me with this tired, frustrated look. She knew things were shifting. The boys noticed too. Tyler started calling me more often. Said he missed me, said Eric. Wasn't funny anymore. I didn't say anything bad about Eric. Not once. But I listened. I let the boys talk. And I kept track of everything. A few weeks later, I showed up at their house unannounced. It was my legal right. I still had shared custody. I rang the doorbell and Eric answered. Claire's not home, he said, blocking the doorway. That's fine, I said. I'm here to see my sons. He didn't move. They're doing homework. I stared him down. Move. He smirked. Why don't you come back tomorrow? You're just gonna confuse them. That's when Claire walked up behind him. She'd been in the living room, watching the whole thing. It's not your day, she said coldly. I'm still their father, I said. Let me see them. Or I file an emergency petition tonight. Claire's face twitched. She didn't expect me to have legal firepower. She thought I'd just roll over. She didn't say anything, just turned and walked away. Eric stepped aside, but not before whispering. You're pathetic. I ignored him and walked in. Jason ran up first, hugged me hard. Then Tyler. We sat at the table, finished his homework. I read with them until it was time for bed. That night I texted Donna and said, let's do it. We filed a motion for expanded custody the next morning. And that's when things started falling apart on their side. Claire didn't take the court papers well. She called me that night furious. What the hell are you doing, Mark? You're trying to take my kids from me? I'm trying to be their father, I said. You let a stranger slide into my role. That's not parenting. That's replacement. He's not a stranger. He's been here. You haven't. That one stung. But I didn't back down. You think just being there makes someone a parent? You let a man they barely knew start deciding how they're raised. You let him. She hung up on me. But the damage was already done. A week later, Donna sent me the first set of school emails we subpoenaed. I wasn't expecting to find anything huge, but I did. Eric had signed Tyler out of school 3 separate times without being on the approved list. The school hadn't even called me. When Donna pressed, they said he seemed like part of the family. That line nearly made me choke. Then came the real blow. Claire had submitted a form listing Eric as emergency contact and guardian for both kids. She had no legal right to do that. Donna was livid. This isn't a gray area anymore, she said. This is a custody violation. I added it to the pile. Along with receipts I found in the trash on one of my pickup days, Eric had taken the boys camping, overnight, out of state. No call. No heads up. Claire just let him take them. Donna filed for a temporary custody change based on parental misconduct. The hearing was set for a month later. In the meantime, I kept showing up. Quietly. Calmly. No yelling. No arguments. I let Eric and Claire dig their own graves. They did. One Saturday, Jason told me he didn't want to go home. Said Eric yelled at Tyler for spilling juice and slammed the fridge so hard the milk fell out. I asked if Claire said anything. Jason looked down and said, she just told us to listen to Eric. Said he's in charge when she's tired. I hugged him and told him that wasn't okay. That if anything ever scared them, they call me. Day or night. That Monday, I got a call from the school counselor. Tyler had drawn another family picture. Only this time, Eric wasn't in it. And Claire was crying in the corner. Is everything okay at home? The counselor asked me. No, I said. But I'm working on it. Then came the final crack in their perfect little setup. Eric got arrested. It wasn't for anything big. He got into a fight at a local bar. Pushed a guy. Swung a punch. Cops were called. He spent a night in jail. But it made the paper. Local volunteer arrested in bar fight. His mugshot was bad. Red face. Wild eyes. I printed it out and brought it to court. Claire didn't say a word the whole hearing. Donna laid everything out. Unauthorized school pickups. Out-of-state trips. Verbal aggression. The drawing. The bar fight. The false emergency guardian forms. The judge ordered immediate temporary primary custody to me. Claire sat there stunned. Eric wasn't even in the courtroom. And for the first time in months, I felt something settle inside me. But I wasn't done. They tried to replace me like I was nothing. Now I was going to show them what it feels like to lose everything. The house was quiet when I picked the boys up for the first full week under the new order. Claire didn't even open the door. Jason came out with his backpack already on. Tyler followed behind, dragging his little suitcase, looking confused. I asked him if he was okay. He nodded, but didn't say much. I could tell the cracks were spreading fast over there. I didn't ask where Eric was. I already knew. 2 days after the court hearing, I heard he moved out. Not just from Claire's house, from the neighborhood. Packed up overnight and left without saying goodbye to the kids. Coward. I didn't say anything bad about him to Jason or Tyler. But they were smart. They'd heard the yelling. They'd seen the shift. It didn't take long for Jason to open up. He used to sit in Dad's chair. He told me one night while we were watching TV. Said we didn't need it anymore. That stuck with me. The chair. My spot. He wanted everything I had, right down to the damn recliner I used to fall asleep in after work. That week, I bought a new one. Set it up in my apartment. Jason helped me build it. Tyler curled up in it that night to watch cartoons. Piece by piece, I was taking back what mattered. Claire tried to get things back under control. She called me late one night, sounded like she'd been drinking. You happy now? She asked. You got what you wanted. Are you happy? No, I said. I didn't want any of this. I just wanted to be their father. You're the one who threw that away. She cried. For a long time. Then hung up again. I felt something strange after that. Not satisfaction. Not anger. Just hollow. I'd spent months focused on revenge. On proving I wasn't disposable. On taking my place back. And now that I had it, all I saw was wreckage. But that didn't mean I was done yet. One morning I went back to the old house while the kids were at school. Claire was outside, sitting on the porch in a robe, smoking. She looked 10 years older. I'm not here to fight, I said. But I need to say something. She didn't look at me, but she didn't tell me to leave either. You let him into their lives way too fast. You let him replace me. You helped him. She looked up then, eyes red. I was tired, she said. You were never around. He was. That's not an excuse, I said. You knew what you were doing. You let him sit in my seat before the ink was dry on the divorce. She swallowed hard. You weren't a great husband. I know. But I was a good dad. And you let him take that from me. Then I handed her the paper. It was a full petition. Custody transfer. Child support reduction. Every legal advantage I'd gained, now locked in. I told her she could still see the boys, of course. I'd never take them from their mom. But the days of letting someone else run my family were over. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm protecting them. She started to cry again, but I walked away. I left the past there, on that porch. It took a year to settle everything. Court hearings. Therapy sessions. Mediation. Jason talks to me now more than ever. We go fishing on weekends. He told me he wants to be a teacher someday. Tyler still sleeps with the stuffed bear I gave him when he was 3. They're okay. They're healing. Claire moved to her sister's place. We keep things civil, for real this time. Eric? I haven't seen him since he skipped town. Last I heard, he got fired from his job for lying about the arrest on a background check. Some people called it karma. But me? I don't care anymore. Because every night, when I sit in my new recliner, and Tyler's asleep on the couch, and Jason's playing guitar in his room, I know the truth. They tried to erase me. And I came back stronger. Not for revenge. For my sons. That's how I won. For good.